You're wondering, why did I ask you to come here to the shipyard tonight? Well, there's some things I want to talk about. Don't worry, it's nothing bad. But I want to start by saying that I've noticed all the things you've been doing for me these past few weeks, and how far you've gone to care for and protect us. Plus, you've broken me out of the proverbial shell that I was hiding behind for far too long. What I'm trying to say is, I feel like a very lucky girlfriend to have you in my life. Before we met, and before we went on some of these incredible adventures, I wasn't in a good place. But having you here has really changed things. You know what I mean, right? Anyways, I asked you to join me at Bob Yamamoto's shipyard today because I know you've been wanting to explore not only interstellar space, but the unusual powers passed on to you by the Kaiju blood, which means you'll need a spaceship of your own. I've researched the data that we extracted during the Nexus Innovations Party. They include the schematics for the science vessel modifications that we encountered. I'm almost certain I can reverse engineer the system that can help you leap through solar systems. That little hiccup where we crossed into the Kaiju dimension has made me rethink things. But I'm pretty sure that happened because we flew over the place where my parents accidentally opened the portal all those years ago. I guess you could call it a soft spot between dimensions, which probably triggered your latent ability. I'm doing some guesswork, since I'm not a scientist exactly, but I don't think you can cross dimensions on a whim. The conditions have to be right, or you at least need the right equipment. Anyways, I know that if you had a ship of your own, and if I used my mechanical talents to build you the jump system, you'll be able to teleport across solar systems, running cargo, and that kind of thing. Since the United Earth government has a monopoly on the jump gates, and all warp-capable ships are mostly owned by the military or megacorporations, having your own intergalactic ship could be a pretty lucrative endeavor. All that being said, you might be starting to see why I brought you here today. You're not the only one who can be full of surprises. Yep, I bought you a spaceship, using my half of the prize winnings from the sky race, of course. I know there's a chance that you might not like the ship that I picked out for you. So, if you feel that it doesn't suit you, we can trade it for another. Bob has 5 vessels in his shipyard today, and I'm about to sign the paperwork for one of them. Can you guess which ship will be your gift? I see you've started eyeing the first one here, the Daedalus model. This type was one of the earlier pre-Light Star gate vessels, used to run cargo from Earth to Moonbase Alpha. During the Sol War, these became famous after a Mars Marine squad managed to attach itself to a UEG battlecruiser and overtake its crew, which it was only able to do with the help of an experimental stealth module. Unfortunately, most of its stealth features are extremely out of date. It's not much use for going undetected anymore. Likewise, its hyperfuel injection engines and plasma cannons are also legacy components. They'd be too costly to upgrade, so this isn't the one that I bought for you. There's definitely a vessel here that I thought was a much better match for your needs. Possibility number 2 is this Gentlewing 2000, a luxury space vehicle with sleek chrome exterior. It almost appears like a teardrop of Mercury rather than an actual ship. It's totally wrong for you, of course. It has no weapons, But ships like this are pretty rare, and it's also more expensive than what I could afford, even with its hull dinged up in a few places. I saw the interior, and let me tell you, it was astonishing. Velvet furnishings, marble tabletops, its LED lighting thoughtfully illuminating the space. And the cockpit is one of the most stylish things I've seen. Its haptic frame gilded to the max. Not to mention, the piloting controls are also unconventional. To be honest, I have no idea how they work. Luxury vehicles usually need a private escort, or they run the risk of being disabled and boarded by pirates. Between the two of us, I actually think that's what happened to this model. The Gentle Wing doesn't really fit in at a place like this. I think Bob is trying to get rid of it as fast as he can before the authorities come looking for it and ask how he acquired such a thing. You're wondering if the ship I bought for you was also stolen and resold? I did a pretty thorough inspection of its data logs. I don't think so. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. These other two are a Rattlebite and Golden Sun space fighters. They don't have much in the way of cargo space, and their hulls have been patched up more than a few times. I thought you'd at least find them interesting, seeing how much battle they probably survived through, mostly intact. I suppose that showing you these ships is my way of going sightseeing. You know me, hardware has a special place in my heart. Both of these fighters were flown not only in the Sol Wars, but by who knows how many pirates and privateers since then. Most of their brother and sister models were probably destroyed, blown to smithereens over the years. But these two have survived against all odds. They probably had great pilots, or even better mechanics, kind of like you and I. You're the hero, getting us in and out of dangerous situations. And I'm your gadget girl, fixing you up and giving you an edge in everything you need. I don't mean to make it sound weird. I like the time that we spend together, and we get up to some unusual things. I wouldn't have it any other way. When you're around, I feel truly alive, like my life has meaning, and like I can rely on you for anything. We've had a few close calls, but nobody lives forever, unless they're willing to make simulant duplicates of themselves, which even we can't afford, even after winning this year's race. Anyways, I've gone off on a tangent again. By that smile on your face, I can tell you enjoy when I go into my deep thinking mode. But let's not forget why we're here. I've shown you all the ships except one, and neither of these fighters are right for you because you can't do much with them without auxiliary support. So that leaves us with the final ship, a Class 2 Cerulean freighter. She's about average size for her type, and she might not look like much, but it's the inside that counts. These freighters were designed by Aurora Cerulean, one of the great ship architects during the Sol Wars. She was killed in a space station bombing not long after finishing the blueprints for this model. Only a few were ever produced, because apparently Aurora's husband told the manufacturing line to start construction without the permission of the company. Eventually, they found out, but not without having produced a dozen vessels first. This is one of them. I didn't know any of this until Bob showed me the ship, and I did some researching. The ship itself is sturdy, and while many of its components are almost a decade old, they were top of the line at the time they were installed, and they've been well maintained. The hull is made of early grade, premium polysteel. 2 forward-facing Vibertech ion cannons right beneath the cockpit, 2 Mira Industries plasma guns centered on the top and the bottom of the ship for full firing coverage, and a small Watanabe missile launcher on the port side. Yes, that's right. The weapons complement is pretty well balanced. With the right kind of flying, she could take on a ship heavier than her own class. She's powered by a military-grade plasma fusion reactor and twin Blazarius thruster engines, so she's capable of sublight travel. I made sure that's enough power for the device I'll build that will access your latent jump powers. I'll have to update a few components, like the Tillian series energy shield. That's one of the few parts that's totally outdated. I'll replace it with a modern hypershield instead. I have a much longer list of replacements needed, but still, bang for its buck. I think this is a fantastic vessel. I can see you're not totally convinced yet. So let's take a tour inside, shall we? The cargo bay makes up most of the interior, so you can load it up with all the goods you want, like spices from planet Ambrosia. And then, theoretically, use your jump abilities to come back here to Earth and sell them at a nice profit. It's modularized, so many of these panels can be removed or placed so that you can customize how things are sorted. Aurora Cerulean designed this as a privateer vessel. She had a vision after the wars ended that we'd enter a golden space age where pilots could fly freely using jump engines and light star gates to expand humanity and live life on their own terms. She wanted this ship to reflect that vision, and it's one of the things I like about it, is the flexibility of components and interior design. Perfect for a tinkerer like me. Of course, I'm buying this ship for you, not myself, but I can make it even better with just a few credits and some elbow grease. Aurora's vision kind of came true. It's not exact, because the UEG has control of most interstellar travel, cutting into the average person's freedoms and profits. But I feel a kinship with the future that she wanted to bring into reality once the fighting was over. I guess that's one thing we have going for us in the Sol system. We're no longer at war. I was a kid during that time, and in some ways, it was the creation of the light star gates that gave us access to new worlds, faster than FTL drives could give us. Like my mom, the great scientist, Cerulean hoped for a better future for all of humanity. The interior design is mostly utilitarian, but it's also very stylish for the time that it was built in. See how there is a mix of right angles and curves? I kind of dig it. Okay, so making our way to the cockpit, there's a small kitchen, bathroom, and 4 bunkers. Enough space for a crew of 4, or possibly 8, if everyone's double bunking. The ship can be piloted by a crew of 1, of course, if you really need to, with AI subsystems operating essential tasks. Which brings us to the cockpit. Don't be shocked. I did mention the ship is old, so a lot of these control systems are outdated. One of the first things I'll do is retrofit these panels with programmable matter interfaces. Yes, they are expensive, but I think we'll need them to synergize with your jump abilities. The idea I have in mind is a bit technical, so it's probably best if I don't go too far into the details for now. So, why don't you slide into the cockpit seat and tell me how it feels? Not bad, right? These ergonomic leather chairs are surprisingly comfortable. They're the originals installed way back during Cerulean's time. I have Bob's permission if you want to take it up for a test drive. What do you say? Great. I already did a pre-flight checklist before you arrived, so we're good to go. That liftoff was pretty smooth, right? Diagnostics report there's a slight oscillation on the port side. Not strong enough that we can feel it here in the cockpit, but it shouldn't take long for me to track down the source. It's nothing to worry about for now. It's safe enough to take it into orbit, so you can get a feel for its spaceflight capabilities. Bob has some safeguard measures, so we can't take it out too far. Just don't go any further than 50 kilometers, and we'll be fine. It never ceases to amaze, seeing Neo-Tokyo from so high above and flying past the Kármán line. To imagine, once humanity started with nothing more than sticks and stones as essential tools. Now, we can do incredible things with a single multi-tool and a power core. And things aren't stopping there. Synthetic life is clamoring for equal rights, and there are a few rare people like you with powers beyond normal comprehension. Humanity's come a long way in a short time, and I find it all quite fascinating. So, now that we're in orbit, give the thrusters a good test run. While you do that, I'll walk around the ship and do a little inspection tour. I can have a more critical eye while you're actively flying the vessel. I'll stay patched into comms, and I won't go far. We're in space, after all. So, there's something a bit unusual I've been dealing with since we won the sky race a few days ago. I'm not sure how to talk about it, really. But you see, I'm having trouble with all the attention since it was announced that we beat Damien Voss and the other competitors. I've been flooded by messages and interview requests. Even old friends and past clients have been trying to reach me. My contact is public since I own a shop in the Kaiju Memorial District. I guess you haven't experienced the same flood of requests like I have, because you were incognito. Some people have gone so far to try and visit the shop to ask me questions about what it was like to win the race. And I've been getting a lot of questions about you, specifically. I guess that's a downside that we really didn't think about before winning the race. We put in a lot of effort to erase your identity and help you start fresh. Now, every racing fan wants to know more about the both of us. I suppose interest will die down over time, but for now, it's a bit nerve-wracking, you know? I'm a bit worried someone will figure out that we faked your death and discover who you really were. In particular, if Voss finds out that not only are you still alive, but you're the one who actually beat him in the sky race. Powerful CEOs are really not the kind of people we want as an enemy, again, for a second time. I'm just glad that the broadcast cut away from our racer as we teleported from the Kaiju dimension. Nobody's raised any concerns so far about how we teleported near the finish line. With so many competitors involved, there was plenty of other collisions and close calls for them to cover during the live feed. The diagnostic shows a funny reading on the starboard aft quarter thruster. Can you do a 3-second full burn to help me with the diagnostics? Great. That should be enough data. I'll examine the components after we land. If I make a list of issues remaining with the ship, do you think you can negotiate the price down by 15 million credits? You're probably better at that kind of thing than I am. I know you haven't committed to this ship yet, I'm just thinking ahead, as always. So tell me, how's the ship handling so far? Do you like her? I understand. I'll take some of those things into consideration. But overall, she's not a bad fit, right? I think I could install the Nexus Innovation Jump components in a slot next to the plasma fusion reactor. It won't take up much room, especially compared to an actual jump drive, which are normally half the size of this entire ship. It might take me a week or so to rig, especially between the jobs that I have to do for Voss to keep getting my tech prize money. It feels weird, still having to work for him after we totally crushed him in the Grand Prix. Oddly enough, I haven't heard from him lately, besides the normal repair requests that he sometimes sends my way. I shouldn't worry about it too much. I really have enough on my mind, I just noticed there's a compartment here that's smaller than the schematic. I wonder if there's an auxiliary system installed behind here that's not recorded on the system. I'm going to remove the paneling with some tools and get a closer look. It's a decent amount of space. There should be something about the size of a small closet back here. Every inch on a ship matters, so we definitely have to investigate. Okay, I have the rivets loosened and this is embarrassing. I think I got a little in over my head here. The panel must weigh about 70 kilos, and it's stuck at an angle. I might be in danger of being crushed. Can you come help me? Just turn right after leaving the cockpit, near the captain's quarters. Oh, thank you. I don't know how much longer I could have held it. You, of course, have no problem with such heavy weights, considering all your muscles and cybernetic implants. Now, let's see what's beyond this insulation right here. Oh, my. This was not what I was expecting at all. It's like some kind of, what do you call it? A shrine? Look at all these candles and photographs. I think these are flower holders. It's so peculiar. Did someone come here to pray? Or, wait, I'm cross-referencing the photographs with the global database. Yes, the woman pictured here is the designer of this ship, Aurora Cerulean. I think I might know what this is. You see, when I was first inspecting the ship, the data logs reported that it used to belong to her husband, Xavier Jackson. He's the one who sneakily had these ships produced after Aurora's death. If he was the one who owned this ship, that must mean he used this area as a kind of memorial. Probably a place where he came to light these candles and be with Aurora. Or at least with her memory. It's a bit heartbreaking, really. Xavier Jackson passed away just a few months ago. The fact that he did all this for her, it shows just how much he loved her, even after she was gone. I know a little of what that's like. I haven't told you this before, but every year, on the anniversary of the Kaiju attack, I go to the memorial gardens and lay lavender flowers near the spot where my parents' laboratory used to be. Lavenders were my mother's favorite. I'm not the only person who lost someone that day. So many others come to honor the memories of the Kaiju victims. It's quite a feeling to be surrounded by so many people with a shared tragedy. I always feel a mix of guilt and shame, knowing that it was my parents' creation that resulted in the death of so many. Every year during the memorial event, I leave in tears. Mourning, it seems, can take a lifetime. You never get over it, but you learn to live with it. If it's all right with you, can we keep this area just the way it is for now? I know you might need the space eventually if you decide to take the ship. It wouldn't feel right dismantling something that was so important to someone else until we really have to. I'm glad you understand. Thank you. I know it's probably a silly thing to ask for, but the people who came before us, they meant something, you know? We have to do what we can to honor their memory. And gosh, my shoulder is killing me. I must have strained it when the panel nearly crushed me. You want me to sit in the captain's quarters? Okay. At this point, I won't ask questions. Yes, a back rub is exactly what I needed. Sometimes I don't know when to quit. So many things in life need fixing, figuratively as well as mechanically. Sometimes life just feels like this tide I'm trying to prevent from overwhelming me. No matter how much I do or accomplish, I manage to pile on more. So, I'm consciously aware this is something that I do to myself, and not so much something that's being done to me. My mother and father taught me that I'm not a victim. Even after losing them, we might not be able to control life's circumstances, but we can control how we approach them. I guess that's how I ended up being a cybernetic and repair specialist with my own shop, instead of becoming a boost dealer or a call girl. When I was 18, I left the foster system and barely had enough credits for a meal. So I tried being a dancer at one of the clubs on the Neon Dolphin Strip in the Hanzo district. I did one song and quit. It was just as bad as you can imagine, being shouted at and catcalled. I couldn't let that be my life. The next day, I walked straight into the garage of a bike gang and showed them that I knew how to tune up and boost their rides, and managed to negotiate for some work, which was a challenge in itself. Before that, I would have been deathly afraid to do such a thing, but I guess nothing is more motivating than seeing the lives that you could possibly lead, one that feels wrong, and another that, while still difficult, doesn't break your heart. Until recently, I felt stuck in the day-to-day, grinding for credits, feeling like a beggar, working off that tech prize that I got myself into. I know you've done your best to try and alleviate some of these woes, but I think I just might be stuck this way, always trying to fix more than what's possible, stretching my body and mind about as far as they will go in the process. One thing they'll never say about Gemma Prime is that she didn't do her best. I don't know why you're laughing. I just opened my heart up to you. I'm sarcastically glad that you find my deep introspection amusing. I guess somebody has to. Maybe I am a bit too much sometimes, but gosh darn it, this is what makes me, well, me. So come and see the Gemma Show any day of the week. I'll be here this same time every night. Why are you asking me to check my recent messages? Is it this one that you want me to see? From the Memorial District Real Estate Union? It says that the mortgage on my shop has been paid off. Wait. Did you spend your part of the prize money to pay off my debt? I don't know what to say. Here I am, using my winnings to buy you a spaceship, while you used your own to pay off my workshop. It's hard to describe how this makes me feel. You are perfect, and I love you for it. My handsome, cyber-enhanced boyfriend. I just want to be here with you, floating through space, being held in your arms. I want it to last forever. Maybe it... Oh, drat. That sound is a priority alert. I'm only supposed to get it if my AI assistant finds something time-sensitive or critical. I should probably take a look. I'm sorry for ruining the moment. Let's see what the issue is. Hopefully we don't have to. Oh. I was running a full scan on the data the Thunderhawk recorded when we entered the Kaiju dimension. I put it off for a while because, well, it's hard to even think about that place after everything we've been through. But the results say there was a message recorded by the bike while we were in the barren landscape. It might even be some kind of distress signal. I'll play it back now.
This is a distress call. If you can hear me, my name is Pearl Prime. My husband and I are in dire need of assistance. We're positioned in a cave near the base of the largest volcano in the area. We need rescue, please. If you hear this, come and find us.
That was my mother. She can't possibly be alive. I saw a monster claw them both through the portal, and that happened nearly 2 decades ago. But you heard the message too, right? I'm not crazy. My parents might actually have survived that day. I can barely process this. It hurts to imagine them trapped all these years with no way home. But I fear the reverse is true. That message could be almost 20 years old. I can't believe they lasted in that place for so long. I have to know. I have to find out what happened to them. But the shock of this, my vision is swimming. I can scarcely breathe. Please hold tight to me, because I'm about to faint in your arms. You've been listening to Cyberpunk Girlfriend, the Beyond All Barriers story arc. If you're enjoying our adventure, please like, subscribe, and see my full playlist for each experience in chronological order. I think something big is on the way for us, just around the corner.